I was streaming on Twitch, and so I wasn't on Facebook or anything. And then someone said they told me, you know, Bobby Pierce got DQ'd for bad tire sample, and I was just like, what?
You're
Like,
kidding,
I
right?
could not believe it. I'm like, where? I'm like, at first, I'm like, where did you see this? Like,
Mhm.
no way. I'm
Yeah.
like, where do you see it? And then sure enough, I got on my phone. I'm like, holy crap. Couldn't believe
Joshua,
it.
Joshua, what was your?
Um, well, so I was okay. So I was a little bit confused, is because I saw your text, and
Mhm.
then someone else was texting me from the Dirtcar side. You know, Devin Moran and Kyle Bronson post, and I'm like, and it was just links to the website, wasn't actually Facebook, and I'm like, has their website been hacked? Is what
Right.
like
Is
this
this
is
April
Right.
like
Fools?
yeah, like
Yeah.
what like this is wild. Was my
Mhm.
first thought, and I'm driving. And I handed phone
Read
to Liz. I'm like,
this.
"What's going on?"
Read this to
And
me, Liz.
she was getting text too. Actually, she was the one getting the text, because she was having a conversation with one of our, someone we work with, in the sport, and he's like, "Holy crap, have you seen this?" And started sending it to her, and I'm like, "No way!" And she's showing me, and it's just the links, and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Has their website been hacked?" Is what it was honestly was my thought, initially, and then obviously we got to where we was going and looked into it, and it's like, "Oh wow, this
Yeah.
is."
I
Just
know
just a wild, just crazy,
I know
that
Joseph,
Yeah.
situation
his
there.
his reaction was, so I was like, "Oh my gosh." I was looking at my phone. We were in the shop and Joe's like, "What? What?" Like he thought there was a, I held it up to him and he had that same reaction, like looking at
Yeah.
it on my phone. And then
I,
he
I,
tries to click on it. I'm like, "Give that back to me. I want to read it."
I
I don't know what to think about it. That's for sure. Um, don't know if we're getting into that. I sure don't know what to
I,
think about it.
it's hard. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
Joshua, you
A lot
I
of
don't
unmuted
know.
questions.
yourself
A lot
over
of
there.
questions raised.
Yeah. Here's my thing. If you'd have asked me yesterday, before all this came out yesterday, to put a very substantial amount of money on, does Bobby Pierce, Devin Moran, do these guys, do they soak their tires? Like, yes or no? Bet a bunch of money. We have the results. We know for sure, 100% factual here, if they do or don't. I just said no way. You know what I mean? There's too much on the line. It just no. I would have bet no they don't. So then this comes out that they both got popped, and it's kind of like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It just, I don't know what to think
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe I was a little naive, or maybe I don't know.
First of all, I don't think there's literally no way of knowing for sure, right?
Right.
Like the only people who really know is those drivers, their crew members that may or may not have been, would not have been involved, and God, like that's about,
Mhm.
about it.
Mhm.
And they can say no, I didn't do it, or no, I don't think any of them, are going to come out and say they did it. It opens up, a lot of. I mean, imagine if someone were, if you could prove beyond a reasonable doubt that they had cheated their time. I mean, it goes, the whole fishing. Remember the
They
guys that got,
gutted the
yeah,
fish and there was lead
yeah,
in it.
yes,
Yeah.
and I think there were, legal ramifications to that. So
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't think anyone's ever gonna like, I think their lawyer would advise them not to openly admit to it if
Mm-hmm.
if they did. That being said, I feel like Bobby's post last night was, I mean,
Very believable.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's man, how would
It
you
feels like
react?
what you would say if
Yeah,
and he even says it. This is, hey, if you race long enough, you run well enough, this is going to be you.
yeah,
Um, and it's like, I mean, imagine, knowing 100% we ain't touch a tire, we run well at this race, and 3 weeks later they call you, hey, we're about to post that your tire sample came back bad, and you're like, wait,
Gut wrenching.
what?
yeah,
Excuse
yeah,
me?
Mhm.
And there's nothing
Mhm.
you can do about it.
yeah,
And half the people in the world, in the racing world, are going to say, yeah, I knew it, he's been cheating the whole time, a bunch of
Yeah.
Yeah.
cheaters down there, this, that, and the other. And then the other half's like, yeah, I know, we know you didn't do that, we support you, we're behind you, or your fans,
and the truth is, no one knows.
no.
Yeah.
Like
And
that's like it's all like it's. I mean, even lie detector tests aren't. You're not allowed in court because they're not 100%
mm-hmm,
accurate. Like, so it's not like he. I mean, he could, and he has before, clearly,
yeah,
but doesn't prove anything necessarily.
mm-hmm,
But going back to what you said, Jonathan, about if you'd asked yesterday if someone had said these guys were cheating, you'd have said no, no way, or whatever
mm-hmm,
you said. But my thing is like what we've seen with the crackdown on the I wouldn't. It was
Just a few
whatever
weeks
they.
back with
Yeah, the new rules that came out.
no kiddie
Swimming pools and
pools.
But
freezers.
yes,
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
clearly,
there's an issue.
yeah, clearly there's a lot going on with tires. Like guys are
Mhm.
going. I'm not saying that stuff was being done to cheat tires. Clearly it was being done to gain an advantage. But like, I mean, we know it. Like all these teams, every team has a tire guy, right? Like most top level teams, you don't know what they're doing. Some of these teams use tire specialists, right? That are now showing up. Part of the reason that rule came out is they were literally showing up to races with their own trailers to,
Mhm.
bring tires to drivers or prep them, do something to them at the track, right? Like, it's clearly getting out of hand, right? And I don't think that was just to limit stuff, that gray area stuff. Like I don't think those rules. I think those rules were because of they know people are cheating tires.
Mhm.
Um, I would have before yesterday said I just can't imagine someone like Bobby with that much riding on it, would cheat a tire, right?
Yeah.
But I clearly know that they are, and also talking with other people in the sport, um, not drivers, but well, some drivers and crews too, but just the higher level people in the sport, with series and
In the know.
manufacturers. Yes, like it is it's happening is
Mhm.
what we're saying. Like that's not saying Bobby and Devin and all them were definitely doing
Right.
it. But it is happening. And if you think it's not, yes, you're being naive,
Right.
right?
Well,
But you would like to believe that someone like that, that year Bobby had last year was legit, right? And that he wouldn't risk, you know,
Yep.
everybody
tainting
questioning
that.
it now, an asterisk, if you will.
Yeah.
Um,
But how do we know?
yeah,
Other
but at
than
the same to play devil's advocate, I don't know, whatever, just to put it in perspective, how much money did Bobby Pierce win last year? You know what I mean?
yeah,
What
was
and
it
it's
over
just
$1 million?
a million,
And
1.2, I think.
yeah,
And so if it cost you, I mean, how much? I'm not saying he did. I don't know. Right there, no one knows. Right, that's the problem here. Um, and everyone questions it, and no one knows what to believe, or at least I don't. But let's just say he did. Well, how much money did he win because of it? How profitable was it? To do that. You know what I mean? Like when you put this kind of money, a guy can go win $1 million. This year. When you that kind of money's out there, you know, people are going to do it. Not saying Bobby did. I don't know, but there's an opportunity to go make a lot of money if you can be a tenth or two faster than you otherwise would have been. Joseph, as a racer, how does it make you feel? A racer who I know 100% for a fact doesn't soak your tires. How does it make you feel going to the next race, and when you look over at your competitors around you?
Well, what happened yesterday doesn't change anything. We've kind of, you kind of know what's going on, or you think you think Not everybody's going to race. I mean, racing's full of cheaters. That's what racing is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is people trying to bend the rules and get around things to
The,
find
this
find
isn't
an
bending rules.
advantage.
This is blatantly
Yeah.
breaking
Well,
them if you're
either way,
soaking your tires. But yeah.
racing is all about trying to find an edge and trying to find an
Mm-hmm.
advantage. Okay, that's one way to do it. It's not like this is anything new, but it is a really big developing story. It doesn't really change anything for the next time we're going to go race. The only thing, like in my opinion, we've had quite a few samples taken and sent off. I assume, when someone takes a tire sample, it doesn't necessarily mean they send it. I don't
Right.
know, but we've had plenty of stuff go to the lab. Never have had an issue. So I don't. That's the only thing I can speak of is our experience and how we haven't had an issue with
Mm-hmm.
anything coming back any kind of way from a lab. So with that being the case, it's kind of now we haven't fooled with it and had any problems. So I
Right.
don't know what that's the only thing I can go off of.
Yeah.
uh,
It's worked
so
correctly for us 100% of the time.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
confirmed that we haven't put anything on our tires.
right, right.
But that could change in an instant,
Yeah,
according to what Pierce is saying, according to what other guys who have been popped have said, is I didn't do it, you're going to be next. If you,
yeah.
I
if
will
you run up
say,
front long enough.
the only thing that it's tough is lightning struck twice with one guy.
That
You talking about Bobby?
yeah.
Yes.
But how many times is he in the storm?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
his
That
tires get
is
tested. How often
how
compared
many samples do
to
you think he's
Joseph has
had?
his samples been tested?
A
You know what I mean?
lot.
Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't put any if it's faulty, right? If the process can be faulty, who's the one most likely to
The one with the most
be
samples tested.
yes, and it's probably
And
Bobby over the last 5 years, 7 years. I mean, heck, going back to if during the summer, I mean, heck, 10 years because summer nationals. How many times has he raced
yeah,
and been up
I
front?
think
If you go,
I would put good money on Pierce has had the most samples tested in the last
yes,
decade.
so don't like just because it's been if it, here's what we need to know as a sport: how foolproof is the process? Clearly, there's differing opinions on how strong how solid the process is. That's why we use Dirtcar, right? And that's why we're Dirtcar is because they do our tech.
It ain't up
Like,
to us.
yeah, like I'm doing it's the same. They're using the same process that is used for the World 100 and the Dream, right?
Yep.
Um, so if there's a problem with it, I like, but I as in every level I'm involved in the sport, I would like to know that the process is,
Foolproof.
a little more,
Hmm.
you know,
Well,
like tight, right,
Yeah.
and not
here,
bulletproof.
No. Yeah.
here's
No
my question.
issues.
What if it comes out that, hey, this process is not, if it comes out that, hey, this process is, it's not foolproof, there is flaws, where does that put us as a sport? Like, then what?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: we know it's happening, right? Like it's not like there's guys who have admitted that hey, I've done it, or yeah, I was that tire was bad, I got caught.
I've seen several posts of the one time I did have a sample taken that was bad. Guess what they told
Yeah,
me?
It was
yeah.
bad, right?
Yeah. I've seen 3 or
Um,
4 of those posts
yeah. I
lately.
mean, point being, it's happening, and we need to check it. Like if we're gonna make it illegal, it needs to be checked to enforce it to keep guys, to follow the
Okay.
rule.
Okay.
Um,
But
There's
now the more samples that you pull,
the more money it costs to test
if
them. I know
it's
that.
I
and
100%.
like Bobby Pierce's scenario, the more samples that are pulled from him,
The more
More
likely,
likely
the
you
more
are to have a faulty one.
if the system, yes, if the system is flawed, the more samples you pull, there's the chances of a flaw will show up.
so
So then what?
if there's flaws.
If
also to
it's
answer,
all ifs.
yeah,
But
you
it's
bring
also the more chances you have of catching somebody that is
That's
bad
cheating.
that's
Yeah.
gonna go around hollering that there's a flaw.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
You
they'll
That's
know,
post
the
on
like
problem with the
Facebook.
system. Every time
yeah.
someone gets
But,
caught,
but
it's like, no, I didn't do it. I don't know what you're
yeah,
talking about.
then they'll paste. Then they could post a long,
Yeah.
heartly, you know, how I didn't do it, and
Hmm.
I've
Here's
been
what
doing
you
this
do.
for a long time. I mean, like
Here,
it's just
here's
it's screwed up. I think we're left with no answers, but real questions. One, is the system flawed? Question mark. Or two, are they all
Are these
cheating?
guys
Question mark.
cheaters? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just where we leave it because we don't know
Yeah. We have no answers, but a lot of opinions.
Mm.
exactly.